one of the campaign themes of Donald Trump's reelection is apparently not knowing who the president is. Like, they keep pointing to things that are going on right now and saying that this is Joe Biden's fault in some way. So they've been doing that, but they've also got that for the pandemic as well. So take a look at Trump laying the blame on Democrats for not doing something that they can't do.
The wearing of masks has proven to lessen the spread of COVID. Why don't you support a mandate for national mask wearing? And why don't you wear a mask more often?
Well, I do wear them when I have to and when I'm in hospitals and other locations. But I will say this. They said at the Democrat convention they're going to do a national mandate. They never did it because they've checked out and they didn't do it. And a good question is, you ask, like Joe Biden, they said we're going to do a national mandate on masks.
He's called on all governors to have them. It is a state responsibility.
No, but he didn't do it. I mean, he never did it.
So I don't know what we're supposed to say. So the Democrats were going to impose a nationwide mask mandate and they didn't do it. Well, that's true. They didn't do it. None of them, last time I checked, were president, so couldn't do it. Biden has occasionally said that he might do that depending on the situation with the pandemic when he becomes president. But JR, how are we supposed to respond to that? And is that convincing? Is that persuasive to his base? Yeah, no, Joe Biden didn't do that. That's true. Is that how they're responding to quotes like that?
Yes, and of course, and my examples are based strictly off of Twitterers, which 50% are real people and 50% aren't. But either way it goes, we know that that's the point that's getting pushed. Whether or not whoever's pushing it, the fact you see this coordinated message that goes out consistently, you know that it's been created somewhere and then presented to be taken, to be spread to the masses this way, and that's definitely one of them. What about Biden? What about Biden's response to it? I've seen that many times. What about Biden's response to the coronavirus? What about what he wanted to do? He can say all he wants. Hey, John Iadarola also daily talks about what we should do with the coronavirus, but I don't think he can do anything about it except tell you and probably try and educate you on where the facts are. From there, we need our elected leaders. Again, no, Maybe it's split in some kind of way. Either he doesn't know how elected officials and how our democracy works, or he doesn't care. I'm not sure which one it is, but he's like, well, who cares about who can do something? I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. And somehow he thinks he controls everything. And so similarly, well, Joe Biden, he wants to control everything. How come he can't just control it from here? I don't know. I really think there's holes in his logic of how he gets from A to B. So once we all get to be with him, we're like, how did we get here?
Yeah, I feel this like existential dread when I see things like that. And it would be one thing if it was like Trump was campaigning on this the first time and he got 3% of the vote in the Republican primary. That would be like, oh, good. What do you know? That sort of stuff isn't going to play. But he's already president. He has a very good chance of becoming president again. And he's campaigning against the idea that the person he's running against is the one who's actually president already. But this is kind of like a consistent thing because they wanted to run before they had control of literally everything. They wanted to run against government. They were outsiders running against government. Then once they became president, had control of the Supreme Court, the Senate and all of that, now it's the deep state. So sure, now we've taken control, but there's another layer. So they liked the idea of running against the radical left. Well, the radical left didn't win the primary, but don't worry, Joe Biden's secretly controlled by the radical left. Joe Biden's already president. He's responsible for the riots and all of that. It's like so everything fundamentally is just whatever they want it to be. And that would be one thing if they were losing running like that, but it really does seem to be working. And it's like trying to explain basic concepts to people and they just respond that Brawndo has electrolytes. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say to that because we don't seem in the same reality. Joe Biden isn't president right now, okay? He isn't, okay? You can criticize him for what he's saying he'll do, whether that's inadequate or maybe going in the wrong direction. You can do all of that. That's generally how campaigns have been run. You can't criticize him for not handling situations that were your exclusive province because you're the goddamn president.
Yeah, I mean, he's already done with Obama as well.
But I'm wrong.
He's like, yeah, they brought up Obama and why he hasn't addressed certain things that happened during during Trump's administration. So it's an ongoing approach because people don't know when one thing happened versus another. So as long as they just say it, they know a certain percentage of their support base is gonna buy it. That's just all there is to it. They're there to take something in, to eat up and try to regurgitate to everyone else in his defense.
So the bad things that are happening now are Biden's fault in the future. So the riots are Biden's future fault. Okay, because that's right now, he doesn't like it, so he gives it to Biden in the future. Things he does want, he just takes. So veterans' choice, he passed that, even though that was passed under Obama and signed by Obama. So he took from the past the things that he wants. He's basically, his time frame is 3 years of time travel in either direction. What if he were to go further? Like if he were to literally say, I won the Vietnam War, what would Fox News, what would their coverage of that be? Like if you were to talk to Trump fans at a Trump rally a week after he said, I won the Vietnam War, I don't know, maybe it'd be enough. I try to come up with these all the time, and I honestly don't know what would actually be enough to get through to people, because
nothing.
Because the 3 years could become 5 or could become 10 at some point. I don't know at this point.
Yeah, none of it. Because if you could have predicted that in talking about the coronavirus and that he would step in front of the podium and tell people to ingest disinfectants and it'll clean that whole thing out. If you would have predicted that he would have, yes, that's his motion. If you would have predicted that he would have gone earlier this year and downplayed it and said, oh, we got 15 cases, it's just gonna be gone. Or if you'd have predicted it, he said it is what it is. The fact that hundreds of thousands of Americans have died under his watch and under his ineptitude, you would have been like, well, that would have been enough. We have about a 25 to 30 different things that he's done just in the past 6 months that you could have said before those 6 months happened. If President Trump does this, enough of his people will finally throw up their hands and go, I can't take it anymore. But we've seen those things. Come up with anything. They're gonna find an excuse and something to say. So if he says, yeah, I alone won the Vietnam War, what they're gonna say is, oh, first of all, we did win the Vietnam War. And what he meant to say was we. He's such an American. When he says I, he means we as Americans. That's what they would say. And they would recreate history and say that we won the Vietnam War. They would straight up say it. They just would. You think they haven't recreated history on everything else?
Yeah,
they have.
They're creative in that very limited way. They don't really produce much art, but they can square that particular circle. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.